you're a professional actor challenged by an increasingly fragmented industry, then this podcast is for you. The Hollywood Actor Podcast is an anthology made up of the stories of actors building their bodies of work by redefining themselves, reframing their goals, and reevaluating their opportunities. No matter where we are in our careers, we're always looking to be inspired and to share ourselves across our community. This podcast offers that opportunity to guests and to listeners alike as we all discover what it means to be a working, professional, successful actor. This is Jamie Young, and you're listening to the Hollywood Actor Podcast. Today we're celebrating 50 episodes of the Hollywood Actor Podcast. For longtime listeners, you'll recognize the voices of our guests, and maybe even be reminded of those pearls of wisdom I've highlighted in today's supercut. For new listeners, I hope that you find the insights, advice, and emotional vulnerability of our guests a great indicator of the businessmen and women I speak with, and the greater community of successful actors who help tell the stories that contribute to our culture. Thanks so much for listening.
If you're starting into acting, you can't do this on the side. You have to plan your life around this. When I got here, I was working a graveyard shift at a hotel in valet because that way I wouldn't miss any auditions during the day, and I didn't have to ask permission to go audition. It was devastating. It was devastating for my body. Eventually, I ended up with heart palpitations and anxiety, and because I wasn't sleeping. I was sleeping like 2-3 hours in the morning, 2-3 hours at night. That's crazy. So if you're going to go do this, you have to do it full force, and you can't do it on the side. You have to plan everything around it. There's a lot of sacrifice in this, but it's what it takes.
Here, the hustle is constant, and it's with your team. It's with the people who you work with to get you out. And there's kind of a constant conversation happening with the people that I work with to where am I going to go? What's next? Where are we looking at? What projects are on the horizon? So I think it gets a little bit easier when you have teammates and people in your corner fighting for you. But I think the hustle is kind of constant.
It's hard to be an artist in an expensive city, but it's been easier, less complicated to be an artist here than in other places. I'm able to still do what I'm doing. And like I was saying, I act a lot. I'd like to get more film and TV so I didn't have to do as many catering gigs or frame walls, but it's not so bad.
It's so important in an industry where there's so much rejection. To be able to give yourself the yes is rad. And it gives actors, something to focus on, so that we're not just waiting for the phone to ring, or we're not getting, totally psycho about one audition, and not, we can pour our energy into something that's ours, I think, when you start creating for yourself.
Your task is to bring yourself into a part, and knowing yourself and how to use yourself is the actor's life task. That's what it's not that easy. It's the constant discovery and trusting yourself and following your impulses, and not to be trying to be entertaining, but actually living moment to moment, and of course making strong choices and connecting emotionally to yourself.
Whenever people ask me, something about career and wanting to be an actor and how to get started, and the first thing I'll always say is, if there's anything else you would rather do, anything, do that first. Because this is hard. And you have to be driven, and it has to be what wakes you up in the morning and what allows you to breathe. And if it's not that, it's hard. You have to want this with everything that you have, because it's not an easy career.
I believe that the work is the audition. I believe that that's what we need to be excited about. I think more actors need to stop with I hate auditioning, or I don't look forward to auditioning. Until we change that mentality and we get excited about the audition and can't wait for it, and we're clicking refresh on our email every 5 minutes for that C mail. I mean, until we're doing that kind of shit, like it's not happening, dude, because you're putting it all on the job. You're putting it all on the stuff that you think you love, which is acting, which is over here, which is this kind of thing that is on your periphery that you can't even get to yet. Like, why do that? The love and the acting in the moment can be right there in the audition. The audition, you get to perform. You get to go have fun. You get to have this, 3 minutes where you own that room and just be this guy and do this crazy shit. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And I can't wait to get in that room. And like, I no longer mistake my excitement for fear. I used to think I was just scared, but then I realized, whoa, dude, I'm just excited. I can't wait to get in this room and show them what I got. And we need to see more.
And that's what, I think acting is. People want to make it, on our worst days, we try to make it all about ourselves. But the actual point is to be part of the story. It's not about you at all. And that's the solution to the problem of the story, of telling the story, is you need to be that solution, that perfect piece that helps people understand humanity better.
So much of art is just about doing it, right? Like giving it a try, putting something together, putting something into the world that you believe in, that is something that you want to say. And then you do it the first time and it's so addictive. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say. But now 2 seconds later, I'm smarter than I was 2 seconds ago. So I want to fix this and I'm going to do this better next time. And I need to bring on this person who's great at this. And, you just keep building on yourself. And that's great thing about art and film. It's like you never know all of it. The learning curve on a film set, it's straight up and down every day. I learn something new every single day I'm on set. And it's still hilarious to me that I was, 26 doing this. I joke about it that I don't think I ever would have directed my first feature if I knew how much I didn't know. And now the one bit of information that I do know is that I can do it.
I think our life is so much bigger than acting. And I think that's kind of something that helps me with every choice that I'm making. Is I personally feel happier when acting isn't 99% of my life. When my happiness doesn't depend on whether or not I book a job. Like, we have to find happiness within us, whether or not we ever work again.
That's kind of my math equation. Make every little choice in that direction. And I mean every little one, because the big choices are easy. The big choices. I want to go to acting school. I want to move to LA. Those are common. We think those are the hard ones. Those are the easy ones. The harder ones are all the small ones. Like, what am I going to eat? What time am I going to go to bed? What am I buying? Water or Gatorade? Like, these are the things, the small things that'll move you towards what you want. And also just lessen your attachments. I'm lessening my attachment to what my idea of how I would be successful is.
At the end of the day, aside from acting, aside from filmmaking, all these things, we have one life. And it's very important as humans in general to live a life they want to live. As actors, we really just have that, I'm going to act, I'm going to do this. But until it's full time, a lot of us kind of put ourselves in positions or jobs that we don't want to be in, or that we would never be in if we weren't pursuing this career. So I really think it's important to remember we have one life, and we don't know when we're going to go, and we should really enjoy every part of it. And if you're not enjoying a certain aspect of your life, don't forget that we have an immense power to change and to change it.
Just want people to know that if they're going through a hard time or if they're feeling discouraged out here, it's like there's a reason for that. We're in the Olympics of doing the kind of work we want to do. So finding people who love and support you, getting the help that you need. If you have any kind of like, I know myself, I personally struggle with anxiety and depression, and it just went through the roof when I moved out here. So if you do struggle with those things, really getting the help that you need, because if you aren't a healthy whole human, you can't be a healthy working artist.
I think it's important for any artist, I don't care what you do, to try to create something, if not every day, every week. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in your field. If you're an actor, okay, I mean, yeah, you can memorize a monologue every week if you so choose, but I think the act of creating in general, no matter what it is, painting, dance, singing, ceramics, just creating helps fuel your creative spirit and also helps give you perspective and makes you a better artist. If you just sit around and wait for the phone to ring or, get upset that you don't have anything, that nobody's hiring me, I don't have any auditions, all you're doing is sitting there. As you pointed out, you're the engine with no maintenance. So that's another thing that sort of saved my sanity. If I could create, then if I went through a slow period where for some reason I wasn't booking anything, that didn't mean I was talentless. That just meant, okay, for some reason you're going through that. Big deal. But I created this over here. And so it made me feel more alive as an artist. If I can create something in some capacity. Not everybody can write. That's fine. So maybe you can sing. Maybe you can dance. Maybe you can paint. Maybe you can macrame, I don't know, sew. If as long as you keep yourself creating and not let yourself get complacent.
I don't think you can wing it, because you're up against so many talented people. So I do think you have to have a base, and then you go into that room with your training in the back pocket, and then you're free to do your thing and improvise in the moment and do other things. But I just don't think this is something you can wing it. If this is your dream, I don't think you should wing your dream. Well, I just don't. Carpenters don't, and everybody else, everybody in the fields, in quote normal jobs, they had to train. So that doesn't mean you can't have your own style then as the salesman. One salesman's better than another. That's the way it goes. But they had to learn how to do that initially.
It's hard to have some perspective. It's hard to get that 30,000 foot view and be like, oh, wait, I can have some patience when it comes to this. Oh, wait, I can have a long-term plan. Oh, wait, I can set some goals for myself and don't have to, expect that my agent is going to solve everything for me, or if I'm not getting the auditions that I want from them, that I'm sort of beholden to whether or not they can serve it up for me. No, I can actually go get that on my own. No, I can build relationships on my own. And so I certainly didn't realize that my first few years here in New York City. So I just did the hustle just like everybody else and was a struggle-saurus just like everybody else. But, and that's what's led me to not only the show and have these conversations with people, because that's what I sought out. I started seeking out these conversations with people, with professionals who are like 5, 10, 15 steps ahead of me. And I could be like, so what's working with you? Basically all the way back to in grad school, in the bar, having those conversations. Hey, what's working with you? I've been doing this, what's the next step with this? And again, most of the perspective would come back to, hey, you're in control. These people work for you. This is your business. It's your career. You decide what you want. And you have, you got to treat it like a business. And once you start looking at it that way, it's about building relationships. It's about having that long-term perspective. It's about setting goals and working towards them, and having patience and being in it for the long game.
And I'm finding that that's why I do improv, is not to get ahead, not to be seen, not to use it as a vehicle for my career, but as kind of a workout, and it's yoga and it's the gym, and I go there and I strengthen my craft.
People imagine that there's like this cutthroat viciousness, but I found that's not the case at all. Like, I'm constantly taking coffee with people and telling them like how I got my first agent and referring them to things and like talking about, I'm also a filmmaker, and I kind of talk about like how I made my first projects as a writer director in order to get those first acting roles, and I feel like we're all in this together, and I can't stress it enough, like how each person that you meet, that might be the thing that leads you to the next step, but it's like about making meaningful connections and, making great friends.
Your core, yourself, you're the thing that you work on first. But then after that, because like I said, you're in the major leagues and you got to do everything you can, not just a little bit, because you're growing up against people who are working on their stuff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Then you got to do the same. And so you get your body going well, you get your voice going well, you pick up an instrument, you learn to play an instrument, you learn to dance. You acquire a whole bunch of skills, because you never know when they're going to say, "Oh, it's a great part, but you know what? We need a dancer." That's when you say, "Oh, well, I can dance, by the way. I know how to salsa, and I know how to tango, and I know how to break, and I can actually even do the Lindy Hop." And so you need to be prepared for when the door opens. Like I tell young kids, the door will open for you, but you need to be prepared.
Self-care within this industry, and you would probably know too, like, it's a hard industry to break into. And I feel like, I know me in the beginning, there was a lot of times where I wasn't taking care of myself, and my life just felt like it was unhinged, when if I would have just taken like maybe a minute to breathe, think, okay, we're going to do this, we're good. A lot of stuff in my past would have been a lot easier to get through. But now, as I am a lot older than I was, well, obviously everybody gets old, but I have more of an appreciation for self-care and giving myself that time to cool down.
I hope I'm a part of changing the dynamic, a small part, but a part of really educating actors in the business side of the business. Because at a certain level, once someone is talented and trained, then it really becomes about the business, is whether they work or not.
People think working actor means like they're solely making their money on acting. And I'm like, no, working actor means, yeah, you're in SAG, you're SAG eligible, one of the two, and you have some credits behind your name, but it doesn't mean you're consistently working, because you're not always going to be on set every single day unless you're a series regular. And even then, if the show ends, then what? A lot of working actors still have regular jobs, are still doing the day-to-day, daily grind.
And I'm open to learning and to growing and to taking in like a sponge. I think that was probably my saving grace.
It was really great for me to see that, if you just have a story that you feel is worth telling, you can tell it for the $5 you have in your pocket, and you just do what you can with what you've got, and you make the art in whatever way you can, and the people will come.
Celebrate everything. I learned that one early on, and it has made a difference, because we've really chosen a heck of a career, right? The ups are way up, and the downs can be devastating. So there's no stability for most of it, and financially, the stresses that come with that. Relationships, everything. What we've chosen is really a unique career. So celebrate everything all along the way. Even if it's just getting out of bed, picking yourself up, out of that state that you were in, whatever. New headshots, a new resolve, a new realization, anything. You wrote the first 10 pages of your screenplay. You purchased Final Draft. I don't know, anything. But celebrate it all. Just celebrate everything.
Thanks for listening to the Hollywood Actor Podcast. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening.